Good evening. So often in America's history, a pattern of tragic events has been repeated without galvanizing those in power to act. A black person is killed by the police, protesters take to the streets, and then nothing appears to change. Well, maybe, just maybe, things are different now. In the 365 days since George Floyd was murdered by a Minneapolis police officer, we've seen demonstrations around the world unlike any for decades, and crucially, a conviction in court of the now former officer responsible. A potential turning point then in US history. The country's next step could be sweeping police reform through a bill named after George Floyd. President Biden hopes to sign it into law soon, something he discussed with the Floyd family at the White House today. Step by small step, it seems, Mr. Floyd may well be doing what his young daughter said, changing the world.
There was a moment of silence here at the location where George Floyd was murdered. Time to reflect on what has changed in America over the last year and what has not. For some here, including for Native Americans, today is about healing. But for other mothers here, it opened up old wounds about a broken criminal justice system.
When I heard about George Floyd passed away, I thought about my son.
Even today at this very intersection, gunfire broke out.
Just got to be careful here with some gunshots. Excuse us.
Unconnected, it seems, to the anniversary.
These seem to be gunshots.
But a reminder of how entrenched are the problems of inner-city America. In Washington, the family of George Floyd had a private meeting with the president. Afterwards, they were critical of how slow police reform is moving, suggesting even that the nation's most iconic bird has more protection than African Americans.
If you can make federal laws to protect the bird, which is the bald eagle, you can make federal laws to protect people of color.
Earlier, they met with Nancy Pelosi and congressional leaders. With George Floyd's daughter, Gianna, just in front of her, the powerful Speaker of the House said she believes the little girl's hope that her daddy had changed the world would come true.
Gianna said, my daddy will change the world. And indeed, her prediction is coming true.
In so many ways, the murder of George Floyd was a seminal moment in the tumultuous history of race relations in America. But a year on, what has changed? It certainly prompted a revision of history and a recognition of the pain that has too often been celebrated in public statues across the nation. It also dramatically shifted the global conversation about race and injustice, about deep-seated economic inequalities as well.
No peace! Please stop!
But some things have not changed. The deep sense of vulnerability and insecurity felt by minorities as they interact with police officers. 1,000 Americans die every year at the hands of the police. Even during recent months, young black men have been killed during routine traffic stops. So in a year, so much has changed, and yet so little.
Don't forget why we are here, why we are fighting.
George Floyd's memory lives on here and across the country.
What we here for?
But whether his murder is a catalyst for deep change in the culture of American policing remains to be seen.